He wasn't even alive when it happened. You know, you have a guy sitting in the library writing his theory, writing his philosophy, and then 60 years later, you know, people are willing to die for his ideas and kill for them. Right? He didn't have any idea. So basically what I'm saying is a revolution, an ideological revolution, takes many, many generations for it to boil over. This is human history. Right? Even the French Revolution, centuries. You have all these writers, Voltaire, Rousseau, so many writers, and then the revolution. Okay? Now, the ideas presented by the messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, first of all, they were not his own. Right? It's not like he was writing them for 40 years. It was revealed to him at the age of 40. And the quote-unquote revolution was complete by the time he was what? 63. How many years is that? 23. There's never been an ideological revolution in human history in 23 years. Never. Never. Ask your political science professor. Not a military revolution, not a coup, right? A coup can happen overnight. But an ideological revolution like democracy or communism, these are ideologies, right? There's never been an ideological change in human history in just 23 years. Never. And what do I mean by ideological? What does that mean? I mean, the way, you know, what people love, what they hate, how they act, how they behave, their politics, their sociology, you know, their relationships with each other, with their family, with their husband and wife, with, you know, their inheritance laws, the way they go to the bathroom, the way they clean themselves, everything changed. Everything changed in just 23 years. Everything. You know, you're not supposed to ask what changed in 23 years. You know what you're forced to ask? What didn't change? What did not change in just 23 years? Even alcohol was completely banned in 23 years. Actually, less than 23 years, right? Completely banned. And in this country, was there an attempt to ban alcohol? Right?
Prohibition.
The prohibition, right? And how did that go? Was it successful? No. I mean, it hurt the country, right? I mean, the government got involved, state got involved, state police got involved, state militia got involved. It got pretty violent and bloody, right? People basically gave up their lives to drink alcohol. How pathetic, right? But, and it still didn't work. But Islam came, completely abolished alcohol in less than 23 years, without any violence, without any state police, without any force. SubhanAllah. This is an unprecedented change in human history which has never been brought out by violence. Never. So any type of claim that Islam is spread through the sword or Islam is spread through violence is completely hollow. And the last thing that I'll mention about just about the seerah is probably the most important. The conquest of Makkah, Fatah Makkah, is one of the greatest days in the life of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For 20 years, these people have abused him, verbally, mentally, physically attacked him, killed some of his followers, killed some of his family members. Now, I want you to really, really picture this. Imagine this is happening to you. You know, these people, kick you out of your home, kill some of your family members, kill some of your followers, right? And these are the people who brought about so much injury. That was the death of one of the Prophet's daughters. These are the people that killed and mutilated the body of his uncle, right? These are the people who have been causing him so much pain for 20 years. Imagine this is you. Imagine this is happening to you, and after 20 years, you come back and you are their conqueror. You know, you're there, you have the upper hand. What would you and I and anyone else in history would do? You already know, right? You already know. Just look at the Crusades, right? But what does the messenger do? Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He comes back to these same people, and he says to them, today, I'm going to say to you what Yusuf alayhi salam said to his brothers. That today, I have no problem with you. I have no issue. I have no axe to grind. I hold no grudge. You're all free to go. You're all free to live and free to go. This is our. He can kill them. It'll be just. It'll be fair because they deserve it. But he lets them go. He lets them live, and he lets them live in peace. This is our messenger. A mercy, truly a mercy to mankind. So any argument that Islam is spread through, violence is completely hollow. And the problem is that we, us here, we don't know our own history. We don't know our own, cultural foundation. And these people think they do. So the biggest advantage that the non-Muslim has is the ignorance of the Muslim. We don't know what we're talking about, right? And I share this with you because nowadays you find this everywhere. Things being propagated against Muslims and Islam, and forget about answering them. We don't even know how to think about it. And if we just study Islam and our history, wallahi, every single attack on Islam you will see that what Islam brought is truly the most decent, the best path. And everything other than what it brought is what's indecent. But we just have to study it, and it will appeal to anyone with an ounce of decency, right? And I do want to say for the people that attack Islam, right? For us here, especially us college students, we've been on the defensive for way too long, for way too long. You know the boxing terminology rope-a-dope? You ever heard of that? What's the rope-a-dope? When you're against the ropes and you're on the defensive for long periods of time, right? And what happens is when you're on the defensive, you get put into a corner and you get beat up. And I feel we as Muslims in America, man, we are constantly playing rope-a-dope. We're constantly on the defensive, and we're getting into a corner and we're getting beat up. Whether it's online, the news, the media, just attacking Islam constantly. So we need to stop being so defensive, and we need to go on the offense. And the point of rope-a-dope is you stay on the defensive, you tire your opponent out, and then you spring on the offense. So you know what? It's time that we stop being so defensive about Islam and we go on the offense. We ask the people who are attacking us, we put the onus on them. They need to prove to us what they're saying is true. You know, there's a concept in Islamic law, and even in our constitution. You are innocent until proven what? Guilty. So you know the people who are attacking Islam, saying that, Islam is this and that and the other? We need to put the onus on them. They need to prove to us what they are saying is true. The burden of proof is on them, right? So we need to stop being so defensive and go on the offensive. And for the people, for the those Islamophobes or whatever you want to call them, who try to look in the Quran for the ayahs about fighting. First of all, there's more ayat about religious tolerance in the Quran than about fighting. Okay, that's just number one. The other thing is, you find these people who try to look in the Quran about the ayahs about fighting, and they think that it's talking directly to them personally. You need to understand that these ayats were revealed to the polytheistic Arab tribes, and during the Prophet's time, were trying to kill him and attack him. So the people who try to look in the Quran about the ayahs about fighting and think it's talking to them directly, they're simply being narcissistic. I mean, really. They need to get over themselves. It's not talking to them directly. On the contrary to calling Jews and Christians as infidels, the Quran, constantly commands respect, certain respect for Jews and Christians. I mean, for crying out loud, they're called the people of the book, right? What an honorary title, people of the book. The Quran commands certain respect for the Jews and the Christians. This is what the Quran is saying. So that's in regard to the seerah.